Hello and welcome to Martyn Lucas Investor. My name is Sensei and you're watching the Morning Forecast Show. We're live every single trading morning, 2 hours before the opening bell, 1 hour before Martyn goes live. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you have just tuned in, please do make sure you've hit that like button and you have subscribed. Go check out the newsletter, first link in the description. So let's get straight into it. A big week for XRP. We've got 2 XRP community days coming up this week. We've got one on Wednesday, one on Thursday. Wednesday is the main day, and we'll be covering it live all on the show. So let's get prepared for that. Let me tell you what that's all about and how it's come at such a critical point with XRP capitulating last week, big liquidation flush, whatever you want to call it, a massive crash on XRP last week. Can we get a big recovery this week? We've already got that initial recovery exactly as predicted. Remember, in that in our private community on Substack, I was telling everyone as I was buying and around, we called the bottom actually. If I go over here, this is our private community here. This was a post I put out. XRP basically just hits 200-day moving average, and that's what we were looking for. The local bottom could be in, just bought more. And that was the local bottom. We were right. That did confirm the local bottom. And that's why I don't buy at random areas. I don't DCA. I buy at levels I think could be the bottom or levels that I think could have a big bounce. It gives me the opportunity to trade it or it gives me the opportunity to hold it long term. And that was an opportunity where instead of holding it long term, I could take a 40, 50%, when it was on leverage, 80, 90, 100% gain in a matter of hours, just by catching that bottom. And plus, I've been buying more. Here we go. Bought a little more XRP, $1.14. You can see the whole conversation occurs under these threads as well. So go and check out the newsletter if you want to see what I'm doing, my thoughts. That's just one small part of the newsletter. Get the daily newsletter, get the XRP weekly newsletter, you get the portfolio challenge. Keep an eye out today, guys. Those I know a lot of the people in the chat right now are also members of the newsletter. Keep an eye on it. Today we might be putting out. I'll put a post in the private community to see if everyone wants it today. But we might be putting out a the second buys of that portfolio challenge, which will be interesting. Anyway, we can quickly check in on that portfolio challenge. There it is. We are up today. Started with 5,000, currently sat at 4,989 pounds. So there you can see exactly the rates of return. You can see how much is invested, how much is in cash. People have been asking, am I going to add to this portfolio? Yes, I will be adding to this portfolio, but no more than 20,000 a year. I probably won't ever get to that 20,000 a year, but that's the allowance in an ISA here in the UK. I'm not using a separate account. So I will be adding to this portfolio, but be very clear what is gains, what isn't gains. I know I've got a lot of questions about that. I did try and make it clear in the framework at the beginning. So I will be adding to this. So if you see this figure go up, it might be because of gains. It might be because of added capital, but we'll be very clear to distinguish what is added capital and what's not by just looking at the actual unrealized gains rather than looking at the amount of the portfolio. But anyway, I just wanted to quickly answer that question. Let's continue with XRP Day, which we'll be covering live on the show. I put out an XRP weekly newsletter. You get this for free on the newsletter, so go check it out. You can choose the free plan and you get the XRP weekly, which we go through all the news, the charts, what we've seen on X, debunking a few things. The weekly calendar is a great newsletter that goes out every Sunday. So here we go. XRP Community Day. Someone's asked already in the chat, do you expect the community day to move the price upwards? I do, but as we've seen with previous events, we could have a rise into it. It can be a buy the rumor, sell the news situation. But I think this time around, it's all about XRP. It's not about they've really trying to make it all about XRP. So it's a bit more bullish going into this event. I'll give you all my thoughts in a second. We'll actually turn it into a video. So let's get into it. And let's start with, yeah, there it is, the XRP Community Day. If you're watching live, you get to see it live. You might see this later come out as a video as well. XRP Community Day. It's coming up this week. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about that community day, what I think about the price action on that day, how to prepare for that day. I'm going to tell you about our positions from last week and the XRP capitulation. Do I think that's the end of the XRP downturn? That's all coming up in this video. So if you are looking forward to all of that, please hit that like button, please subscribe. Let's get straight into it. We'll be covering the full XRP community day on this channel, so you do not want to miss it. Please do make sure you have subscribed so you don't miss it. Coming up this week, XRP Community Day. Let's go to our very own newsletter. This is the only XRP weekly newsletter out there. So make sure you grab it. It is free. First link in the description. There is also a premium plan, but you can get the XRP weekly for free. This is published every Sunday. Let's look at the chart first. Let me just give you a quick recap before we go on to what's coming up this week. So what's happened? Well, last week we got that. I don't want to say it's a capitulation event, but it essentially is. The market capitulated, leverage got flushed out. This is what we were expecting. We went very quickly from $2 all the way down to essentially $1, $1.11, down to that 200-week moving average. We have been predicting this. I'm not going to go into it all, but 6 months ago, I put out a video. I called for a bear market here. I got a lot of hate during that time of the video. During that time, yes, I didn't. Yes, at some point I thought XRP could have gone to $5, $10, but that changed as soon as we got that double top at $3.40, and then the bear market structure started forming. I changed my mind. I said we're in a bear market. That's why I traded throughout the bull market, so I can have some cash to deploy at these levels. 6 months ago, around $2.80, I said we're in a bear market, or I'm more likely to think we are in a bear market, and here we are in a bear market. It's undeniable. Crypto market is in a bear market. Altcoins, I've said for the longest time, those outside the top four, so outside of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and XRP, those will be hit the hardest. And yes, they have been hit the hardest. And now the big dogs are being hit hard as well, and the big dogs being the top four. So we've got XRP come down. We've been tracking the price. We knew where we wanted to buy. I've been posting on the private community here on the Substack. I told you I've been buying, bought a little more at $1.14. I said XRP just basically hit. This is live commentary as I do things. XRP basically just hit its 200-day moving average. The local bottom could be in, just bought more. And yes, we got the local bottom. That was the local bottom. Then we went on to move up about 20-30% without leverage. So yeah, we've hit the 200-day moving average. We've had a bounce. We are in a downtrend. We can certainly come back down. Let me tell you my thoughts. Well, XRP wicked down to $1.11 on February the 5th, tagging its 200-week moving average almost to the cent before producing an aggressive bounce back up to $1.54. And yes, I did sell that initial position at those levels. So I said over here, I just closed my long position. I opened at $1.13. I guess we caught the local bottom. So that was that position I opened there. Yes, I opened other positions on the way down as well. So as you can see, I opened positions at 138, which is in a profit right now. I also opened positions at 157. Do I think it can go lower? Well, I do. I think I've said my thesis for this year for XRP is we come down to its 200-week moving average. We have a bounce, which we've got the bounce now. Now, depending on how XRP Community Day goes, that could be a catalyst to send it higher, above 150, maybe all the way back up to 170, 180, an aggressive move back up, get rid of all those shorts. Or if it is a sell the news event, we could start breaking the 138 level. So it's much harder to say where we're going at this point, because we've already hit a few targets and we're basically in the middle of no man's land. But what I would say is be prepared for both scenarios, as always. But I always say be prepared for the downside, upside, sideways action, and you'll win. It's never been more true than now, because we've got that initial bounce. It's very hard to predict where we're going in the short term. However, we know volatility is going to return to XRP. We know we've been seeing a lot of volatility, and my chart is suggesting that at 138, that's the level of support right now. If that breaks, then we can come back for a double bottom. If we hold 138, then we can start targeting 157, 171, 184. So there's two ways this can play out. My general thesis, which I'm always more confident on my medium-term, long-term predictions, and my general thesis is this year we will come. We've bottomed now. We've capitulated now. We've got rid of a lot of leverage. I imagine at some point we could double bottom at 111, go sideways or go up, and then at some point we will flush down, break the 111, break $1, have one final capitulation, and then we move on to the bull market at the end of this year, going into 2027. So I do think at some point this year, we will flush those lows, but that doesn't mean I'm all out waiting for it, because I think the buys that we made at 138, 111, those are all still, in the grand scheme of things, pretty good prices for XRP. Again, I don't give financial advice, it's just my thoughts and opinions only. So that's the chart. That's my general thesis. If you continue to watch the channel, you will understand that a bit more. You understand the shorter term predictions, the longer term predictions. If you follow the newsletter, then you can see exactly my strategy. I've told you I do zone-based strategy. I don't blindly DCA into every dip. I wait for specific levels determined by Fibonacci, determined by where large market participants have historically stepped in. And that helps us buy at levels where we can get big bounces. And worst case, if we don't get a big bounce, I'm buying XRP at levels I don't mind holding as a spot position. Remember, if you've been buying every 1 to 2% dip, you've run out of money by now. So that's why I don't like that strategy, especially for crypto. A lot of people come from the stock market, so crypto market think they can apply the same logic, because with the S&P 500, it's very rare you get 40% drops, maybe every 5 to 10 years. But it's very maybe common you get 10% drops, 5% drops. So when you're in the S&P 500, you can essentially buy every 1 to 2% dip, because you probably won't run out of money, because it's only probably going to go down 10, 15% most likely in a drawdown. So the 1 to 2% buying DCAing works in the stock market, doesn't work as well in the crypto market, because as you can see, you can get very easily get 40, 50% flush outs in a short amount of time. My outlook for 2026 is more volatility, more opportunity. A sweep below $1 is still very possible if macro conditions worsen in coming months, but that would be likely as market capitulation bottom rather than a trend. I think we will build a base through this chart and transition into a bull market by late 2026, 2027. If you are a premium subscriber, make sure you have the Substack app so you can get alerts when I post live entries. Again, I'm not doing this as an alert system. I'm not telling you when to buy. I'm telling you what I'm doing so you can start to understand my strategy and see what it means for your strategy. Start learning, because I always like to look at everyone's strategy, make sure I prefer mine to everyone else's. You guys should do the same. This is where this strategy plays out in real time, not after the fact. Yeah, that's the Substack. I'll give you the link down below. Also, these are all the perks you get with the newsletter. We're going to come onto the community day now, so stay exactly where you are. We're going to talk to you about what that community day is, how to watch coverage, and what I expect for it. But while we're talking about the newsletter, this is all the things you get as the premium tier. You get full access to the daily newsletter 2 hours before the opening bell with all the top 5 stories. You don't need more than 5 stories. You shouldn't have less than 5 stories. The top 5 stories that will move the market every day. You get the chart of the day, you get the deep dive, you get the number that matters, you get the big thing. All of that in a daily briefing newsletter. 0 ads, 0 distractions. You get my thoughts on every story. You get my technical analysis on charts I look at. You get the event cheat sheets. These are massive. When you get FOMCs, CPI data, big events such as Bank of Japan interest rates, you get all my charts, all my analysis, a step-by-step guide to that event. You get specialist emerging tech deep dives written for you. You get the XRP weekly access. You get the one-on-one DM. You can message me anytime. You can also access the private community. You can also get the Portfolio Insights app coming later in 2026. That's going to be massive. We're already working on that. We've also got the budget planner, debt planner, hoping to launch it this week. Chart training course also hoping to launch in the near-term future. That will all be part of your subscription, plus the £5,000 portfolio challenge, my full research process behind it, and all of that. So go check it out. First link in the description. Now let's come on to the XRP Community Day. Let me get rid of that off the school. Let's get rid of that and let's go over here. There is a poll in this XRP Weekly. So if you are watching live or if you're watching later, every week we run a poll. It's great to get the data so we can start analyzing in the future, but it's also fun to answer. How are you feeling about XRP this week? Bullish or bearish? I put the link in the live chat. This is made during a live video. I'll also put it in the description of the video if you're watching this as a video. Go vote. Are you bullish or bearish on XRP this week? There's 7 hours remaining at the time of the live stream, maybe only a couple hours or 1 hour at the time of the video going out. So if everyone can go and vote on that as well. Now let's come on to the XRP Community Day. This is massive. This is all about XRP. It is nothing else. All about XRP. That's why every single XRP holder, please do share out this event when you see it. to all your XRP friends, all your friends that all of your friends that support XRP, put it on all those group chats because it's going to be a great day. That is going to be on Wednesday of this week. And what is it all about? Well, XRP Community Day. What is it? Why it matters? And what to watch for? Ripple is hosting XRP Community Day this week on February the 11th and February the 12th across 3 free live X spaces covering EMEA, which is emerging. It's a region. I keep forgetting what it stands for. Americas and Asian Pacific and APAC. This year's theme is the era of XRP in capital markets. So this event, remember, we sometimes see updates from Ripple. Ripple's got this regulatory license. Ripple's done this. Ripple's done that. It is normally beneficial for XRP when Ripple goes out and does these things, but those are mainly about Ripple, the company. They've offer different products, this, that, and the other. However, this event is all about XRP. Remember, people make the big mistake thinking that when you invest in XRP, you're investing in Ripple. That is completely not true. XRP is a token. It's a crypto. It has no real affiliation to Ripple apart from Ripple uses XRP's technology and uses XRP and likes XRP. They are completely different entities, but XRP is used by Ripple. This event is not about Ripple. It's about XRP, the actual token itself, the token that I invest in, the token that you probably invest in. So this is very specific about the coin, which is very exciting because that means everything we hear is either going to be bullish or bearish for XRP, probably bullish, as long as it lives up to its hype. So this year's theme is the era of XRP in capital markets. Garlinghouse is going to open it by positioning XRP as infrastructure for regulated finance. Monica Long, the president of Ripple, will close a session called XRP at the core of Ripple's business. That's what we want to hear. That title alone is a statement. XRP has faced no shortage of criticism over whether its token actually matters to what Ripple does as a company. And this event is Ripple putting XRP at the front and center of its strategy in the most public way possible. This is like a big billboard saying, everyone who's hating on XRP, saying, we don't care about XRP, we don't use XRP. Well, this event is for you guys because this is showcasing that XRP is the front and center of everything Ripple does. XRP is the heartbeat of Ripple. This is something that Ripple and Brad Garlinghouse and Monica Long have been saying for a while. And now they're making it crystal clear for all the haters. If you are enjoying this video so far, please make sure you have hit the like button. Please make sure you have subscribed as well, so that you can be part of the event when we are hosting it live here on YouTube. So what separates this year's lineup? Grayscale's head of product, BitNoble's president, Gemini's head of institutional, and Solana's foundation interim CMO are all on stage alongside Ripple executives. These are not Ripple employees hyping the community. These are external partners. Remember, this is not just Ripple by itself doing this. This is what matters the most. These are external people, external partners building actual real-life products around XRP. This is also a tokenized fireside with Ripple X SVP Marcus Infraga and an unannounced surprise guest, which could reveal a major institutional partnership. So we have picked up on the fact that there could be a surprise guest, which could be revealing a major institutional partnership. David Schwartz, previous Ripple CTO, is going to close the APAC session with a live community Q&A on where real adoption progress is happening. So all of this is going to be happening live on Martyn Lucas Investor. We're going to be covering this event. I'll be hosting this event all throughout Wednesday and Thursday. So make sure you tune in. We are excited to see that special guests. We're excited because this is all about XRP. This isn't just Brad Garlinghouse talking about Ripple. This isn't just a Ripple getting regulatory licenses. This is everything us as XRP holders should be looking out for, because this will add utility to the token we hold. And if there's utility, there should be adoption. If there's adoption, we should start seeing price action reflect that as well. So what are we watching for? So this is what to watch for. Any concrete detail on what tokenized finance announcements. That is a big new industry. Remember, XRP used to, or Ripple used to be a purely just a payment solution, cross-border payments. They have expanded. The market has adapted. They are still in that game. They are still building on that. That might be the main point of attention. However, these other spaces like tokenized finance and treasuries, these are big drivers of Ripple as well, with acquisitions, with merger, with acquisitions they've made, and also utility for XRP. So we want to see any concrete details on that tokenized finance announcement. We want to see if Monica Long, the president of Ripple, backs up the utility narrative with actual usage data rather than forward-looking promises. We want to see what are they doing. Is anything happening right now? Is there any reason to be excited about XRP right now rather than just continuously always looking at the future? Remember, I'm not just here as an XRP fanboy or an XRP cult leader. I'm here as an investor in XRP to question certain things at Ripple. I'm not just here as a fanboy or a cheerleader for XRP. I'm an investor, and as an investor in XRP, I want to see what is the utility. Are the people that are using XRP adding utility? So we don't just always want forward-looking promises. I'm not always going to be married to XRP as a token. That's a mistake many people make, whether they're trading it and they're just buying it and they never sell, where you're married to token. If you're just going to buy it blindly and just listen to hype boys and girls on X, that's wrong. You need to be critical about your investment, and that's what we're going to be looking for. We want to see whether XRP is wrapped on Solana, whether they're wrapped XRP on Solana sessions show any real liquidity being built, or it just remains at the concept stage. And we also want to see if any of the ETFs or regulated product discussions hint at new filings or partnerships, particularly around BlackRock. The rumors have been circulating. So this event arrives at a brutal stretch for XRP, down over 50% in the last month from the January high. The community needs reasons. Everyone's not just going to hold for the sake of holding. The more we go on into a bear market, the more negative narrative comes around, the more people see downwards price action, the reasons for holding will be less, and that's when it can get dangerous for the price action. So the community needs reasons to hold. Conviction, and Ripple knows it. Whether the February 11th delivers substance or just more roadmap talk is the whole question. I'll be covering the whole event on YouTube. Please do subscribe. Turn those notification bells on so you can catch it in real time. So I'll leave that video there. I am going to go on to talk about the XRP ETFs because we have a big story there. I am also going to go on to talk about a big CFTC opening the door for bank-issued stablecoins, which is a major story as well. So what I'm going to do is I'll put the link for those videos and playlists just above my head over here. Go check out the newsletter. Please do make sure you check out the newsletter because you get the whole private community, you get all the updates, you'll get the schedule for this community day event on there on the day of the event as well. I'll put a link to it down there, 2 videos up there. Until next time, as always, take care of yourselves and each other. Okay, that's going to come out as a video in a later on today. Let me go to live chat, make sure I am not missing any comments as we are live for the morning forecast show and creating some videos that will come out later. Smash the like button, says Ricardo. Yolanda is here. Rhino Skin is here. Urban Firewood says hi. Do you expect this community day to move the price upwards? I do actually. Yeah, I do. But again, I'm not a short-term trader really, unless we hit major levels. So that's just my feeling. I'm not placing any bets on it unless we hit a specific level. For example, if tomorrow we crash back down to 110, 112, I might put a long position or I might buy some XRP because alongside the XRP Community Day event, that could push the price of XRP upwards. But we have taken a trade. I don't want to get too greedy. Songs for Spaces, and so it begins. The great trial of our time. Yolanda is here. Don't forget to hit the like button. Joe Parson is here. Human Being Liz is here. Good morning to everyone. David Hensley is here. Stevie is here. Yolanda is here. Ascend Improvements Hub says good morning. David Hensley, thank you for all the links. David Hensley, you've done it again. Let me click on it. Let's see if there's been any change. No, there hasn't. David Hensley, this link over here, this specific one where you say newsletter sign up, and this link will take you to all of Martyn Lucas links. That's the one that doesn't work. That takes you to the old newsletter. Yeston says hello everyone, but thank you for all the links. I really do appreciate it. Yeston says hello everyone. Lovely to have Yeston in the show. Is the moderator badge changed? Oh, it's no longer a tool. It's no longer a spanner or whatever it was. It's now a. Is that just for me? Now like a. It's like a. I don't actually like it that much. It doesn't. It looks good on Discord, but it doesn't look good here. What's that new thing? Susan Swatford says good morning. All Brand says good morning. What are your thoughts on Japanese elections connected on the markets today? We've got a full deep dive on it. Brand here at Harris. Brandy. I think. Brandy. Sorry, I can't see where your name begins and ends. I think I'll call you Brandy. Brandy, there's a full deep dive on it in the newsletter today. So we've got all our 5 stories. Then a full deep dive on the Japanese elections. If we have time, we'll cover it. We're focusing on XRP just for now. It's time with the people says good morning. Dynamite Power says hi, Sensei and everyone. Josh Monroe says good morning all. It's time with the people says also locked out of a Discord page. I don't have a Discord page. It's time with the people. If you're talking about Martyn's, please let him know in the next show, and hopefully he can help you out. Ricardo Lol Sensei with Poms, cheerleader, yeah. What did everyone think of the Super Bowl yesterday? Obviously, I'm not American, so I don't really follow it too much. I don't really know. I always know about the Super Bowl ads and how it's the biggest event in the US. I don't really. Who was playing yesterday? It was. I don't think KC will be happy today because I think she might be a fan of the team that lost. I'm not sure. We'll see. Sorry, I just got here. Is the community day today? No, Christian, it is not. It is on Wednesday. Bounce Back says, morning, everyone. Gosh dang it, Sensei. I'm so sorry, man. I'll fix it. Don't apologize. David Hensley, don't apologize. I know you always want to do a good job, so I just want to give you all the information. Human Being Liz says, yes, changes. Yes, yeah, it did change. Okay, let's come on to story number 2. Which is all about the CFTC and the ETFs. Let's get XRP's chart ready over here. Breaking news on Martyn Lucas Investor. We have just published our XRP weekly newsletter. That is the first ever XRP newsletter. We publish it every Sunday to our subscribers. So check it out. First link in the description. It is completely free. There is obviously a premium plan if you want more perks and benefits, but you can sign up for free. Let's go to that newsletter. And I've got 2 big stories here for you. I've got the CFTC opening the door for bank-issued stablecoins in derivative markets. This allows so much more utility for stablecoins, especially for those stablecoins that have all the regulatory licenses. RLUSD. And if RLUSD gets adopted, here is its friend XRP, which will also be adopted. So that's one story I want to go through. I also want to tell you about the ETFs that are the ETFs inflows and outflows, and how there is a big disconnect between Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. I'll tell you all about that as well. We have just done a video as well on XRP Community today and the chart. So if you want that video, stay until the end of this video. It's only going to be about 10-15 minutes long. And at the end of that video, I'll give you the link to everything about the chart and the XRP Community Day coming up later this week. Something massive you need to be prepared for. We'll be hosting it live on this YouTube channel, so make sure you have subscribed. I'll also put a link to that video in the description. But let's come on to firstly, XRP's worst week of 2026. When was that? Last week. We all know it. We all know where it went to. We published our trades. Again, not as financial advice, but just so I can have a journal what I'm doing. I told you that the bottom is most likely in. XRP just hit its 200-day moving average. The local bottom could be in, and it was in. That was posted when XRP was at 115. I said I bought a little more XRP at 114. I said I just bought more at the 200-week moving average. We've been tracking those levels as well, and I told you about my long position that I closed out. However, still very much in XRP. So if you want to get all those private community plus the £5,000 portfolio challenge plus the daily 4 newsletters and deep dives plus the FOMC Japan carry trade cheat sheets where we go through all those events, all the charts, plus all the other perks and benefits. I mean, if you want to pause the screen and read through all the perks and benefits, please do that. But it's the first link in the description. You can sign up for free or for the premium plan. So what happened? Well, it was the worst week for XRP. XRP dropped from its $2.41 high in January to 111 intraday on February the 5th, falling right to its 200-week moving average, a drawdown of over 50% in a month. It has since bounced to 141. The 200-week moving average chart is the most watched long-term support for XRP's chart. The fact that it touched it and bounced matters. If it holds on the weekly close, the broader structure stays intact. If it breaks, the next defined support is $1. In the previous video, the one in the description, if you want to see my full thesis for this year, then you can. Essentially, I expect a bounce, a come back down to maybe a higher low, maybe 120, continuation move up later on in this year. Maybe it's May, maybe it's October. We come out, we flush on $1 lows, and we actually go lower. That doesn't mean it's putting me off buying now because I want to be in assets that I want to hold long term, but it might just mean I'm always going to have some money on the side in case we have that further capitulation I expect later on this year. So this was not an XRP specific event. This was the whole market. So the entire market lost about 410 billion in value since January. Bitcoin fell from 91,000, 61,000. Ethereum hit 2,000. Solana broke below $100. Over 5.4 billion in leverage longs were liquidated, with 2.2 billion wiped out even before the major crash. XRP saw 46 million liquidations, and open interest on Binance dropped to November 2024 levels. Remember, that's very key. November 2024 was when we predicted the big altcoin run. That's when we got 600% move on XRP. That's when we got our 1,000% moves on our altcoins. But now open interest is as low as back then, signaling that all that leverage in the bull market we've had has now been wiped out. So the triggers were all sorts. Lots of combining forces. We've got Kevin Walsh, Fed chair, appointing, sending the dollar up because he's a bit more hawkish than we expected. The rising US-Iran tensions. We've got the AI trade cooling off. We've got the NASDAQ coming lower. We've got the broader crypto market hitting the part of the 4-year cycle. So if you look at the 4-year cycle, everyone always likes to say the 4-year cycle is going to end. It's not going to happen. Well, so far, the 4-year cycle has played out to the T. We just didn't get that altcoin season. But if you're looking at Bitcoin, if you're looking at the total market cap, we are very much on track with that 4-year cycle. And this is the point in the cycle where we start to see the first correction. Later on in the cycle, we get that final correction, which will be later on this year. This is what deleveraging looks like. It happens a few times in crypto. It's violent, it flushes out speculative position, and it tends to clear the way for the next move. This is what I always say. There's about 3 or 4 times throughout a year, especially in a bear market, where you get massive crypto flush outs, where you get 50, 60, 70, 80% moves in a matter of a week, a day. And those are the times you need to have those limit orders set up so you can experience 50% moves up on the day. Because normally when you have that liquidation event, you also have a major move upwards. And this was one of those events. One was in October the 11th, which we traded perfectly. We had those limit orders set up, and one was on last week, where we also had those limit orders set up. We also bought at the 200-day moving average and had violent 20, 30, 40% moves up in a day. So be prepared for these situations. I don't give financial advice. I just tell you about my experiences, my thoughts. I tell you how these things play out in the crypto market and how it's different to the stock market. But now we want to talk about the ETF divergence. So on February the 5th, Bitcoin's ETF lost 545 million and Ethereum's ETF lost 79 million. XRP's ETF posted 4.83 million in inflows. The day before, Bitcoin bled 272 million, while XRP pulled in 20 million. Since January the 16th, Bitcoin ETFs have shed over 2.6 billion, but XRP's ETFs have accumulated 1.37 billion in cumulative inflows since launching in November of 2025, which around 755 million XRP locked in custody. So essentially what we're seeing is Outflows from Bitcoin, outflows from Ethereum, but inflows for XRP. I look at that and think I'm very bullish on XRP. We also see the institutional bid has not disappeared. It was just not large enough to offset macro-driven liquidation cascade, hitting every risk asset at once. XRP is not immune. It's going to go down if Bitcoin goes down. It doesn't mean that there's not some institutional adoption. It just means that's the way the crypto market goes. It's a new market. It's a low liquidity market. The market cap of crypto is really not that large when you compare it to other asset classes. So you do get these types of manipulation in the crypto market. So be prepared for them. The leverage is flushed. Open interest is at cycle lows. The 200-week moving average held and bounced, and the XRP ETFs are still absorbing supply while Bitcoin and Ethereum funds bleed. None of that guarantees a recovery, but the conditions that need to be in place for one are forming. XRP does not lead, it follows Bitcoin, but when it moves, remember, XRP always moves a lot faster. So very bullish in terms of the ETFs and the inflows. Now, an even more bullish story that doesn't really affect Bitcoin, doesn't really affect Ethereum, but it does affect XRP and RLUSD and Ripple, which is the CFTC opening the door for bank-issued stablecoins in derivative markets. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a separate video. So if you do want to watch video number 1, which was all about XRP Community Day, I'll put it over here. XRP Community Day, how to, the chart, my thoughts. If you want to watch the next video, which is CFTC opening the door for bank-issued stablecoins, massive story. Plus, there's more to that story as well, because I'll be talking to you about the Fear and Greed Index and what Brad Garlinghouse said about the dip as well in the next video. So that'll be up here. And then the newsletter. Go make sure you sign up for it. I'll put it down here. Until next time, as always, take care of yourselves and each other. Okay, so now we're going to move on to video number 3. If you're watching live, of course, you get the front most seat to all of this. Remember, we make all our videos during live shows because we are the most real, most honest YouTube channel out there. I hope you appreciate it. I do look at the comments between the videos as well. I've answered all those questions. I'm not getting emails or notices you're online. It's time with the people. I don't think you get emails when we go live. So on YouTube, if you go onto the homepage, go onto the homepage of YouTube, make sure you've got your notification bell on. So that means put notification bell on. So next to the subscribe button, there's a little notify button. Click on that, press all. And then once you've done that, you have to go to your settings of your phone if it's still not working and you've already got that done. Maybe turn it off and on. But you have to go into your settings of your phone, go on to notifications, find the YouTube app, and make sure your notifications are on for the YouTube app. That's the other issue. That will fix it. Fitzy says hello. Also, if you're talking about the email, what you need to do is if anyone gets the email, make sure you go find the email, go check it. We sent one about an hour ago now. If it didn't arrive into your primary mailbox, go and check where it arrived. Did it arrive in spam, in your junk folder? Did it arrive in your AI folders? Remember now, all of these mailboxes have promotional folders, this, that, and the other. Go find where the newsletter is, and then swipe. I think normally you swipe and then you press move to primary mailbox. That way you'll get the notification of that email as well. And the great thing about it is every morning when I send these newsletters out, I think you've probably noticed, when you get a notification of the newsletter, you know we're about to go live. So it works in your favor there. And never mind, I'll figure it out. It's time the people know. I'm sure you will. Human Being Liz is here. And Stephen Lewandowski is here as well. Brilliant. Let's go on to this. I'll be ending the show in 15 minutes. I'm going over to Martyn. Breaking news on Martyn Lucas Investor. We've just made 2 videos. One on XRP Community Day. That's coming up this week. How to prepare for it, the charts, what I think for XRP moving forward. We've then just done a video on the ETFs, the Bitcoin ETFs, the XRP ETFs, what it means for institutional flows. But now we're moving on to part 3, which is all about CFTC opening the door for bank-issued stablecoins in derivative markets. This is all taken from our XRP weekly newsletter, the first and only XRP newsletter that comes out every Sunday with all the top stories, the charts, the X posts, the calendar of the week, everything like that. You get that to your inbox, only about XRP. every single Sunday. That's part of the broader newsletter. Go check it out. First link in the description is completely free to get the XRP weekly newsletter. There is a premium plan if you want all the other benefits of it. But we're focusing on this for now. If you want to check out the other two videos about the XRP Community Day and the ETFs, I'll put them in the description. But if you wait until the end of the video, I'll give you the links to it directly so you can go straight to it. So CFTC opens the door for bank-issued stablecoins in derivative markets. I forgot in this video, there's also coming up towards the end, is what Brad Garlinghouse said about the crash last week, essentially telling you to buy. So let's get into it. Here is how important this is. Remember, this is great. This is only good for regulated stablecoins, and RLUSD is probably the best regulated stablecoin out there with all the necessary audits. And if it benefits RLUSD, you need to know it benefits XRP. So let's come on to the story first. The CFTC, which is the Commodity Futures and Trading Commission, issued a staff letter 2605 on February the 6th, and the implications are bigger than the headline suggests. The letter updates rules on what futures commission merchants can accept as margin collateral from clients trading derivatives. The short version is payment stablecoins that meet the Genius Act requirements, including those issued by national trust banks, can now be used as collateral in US derivatives markets alongside Bitcoin and Ether. This is massive. The derivatives market is absolutely humongous. And the fact that it used to only be using sort of cash and US dollars as collateral, potentially even Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now that door is opening up to stable coins, but not just any random stable coin. It's the ones that comply with the Genius Act requirements. And that's where it gets interesting. So you can see the full letter here. You can pause it and have a read of it as well. But why does this matter? Well, this matters because it moves stablecoins from the edge of crypto trading into the core plumbing of regulated financial markets. Until now, margin in derivatives meant cash or highly liquid securities. So until this post went out, it was very much you can only the margin is only meant to be cash, so actual US dollars, or really highly liquid securities. But now a bank issued, fully backed, dollar pegged stablecoin that meets federal standards can sit in the same collateral stack. The CFTC is not endorsing every single stablecoin out there. Only tokens that clear the Genius Act strict requirement around reserves, redemption rights, and issuer oversights qualify. Conservative haircuts still apply. But is that good for our use in XRP? Well, the bigger picture is what this does to the competitive landscape. National trusts, banks, and federally supervised institutions now have a clear path to issue stablecoins that plug directly into institutional derivatives infrastructure. That raises the bar for offshore and unregulated stablecoins and accelerates the split between regulated tier stablecoins integrated into banking and speculative tier that stays in DeFi and offshore ventures. There's all these great bells and whistles of specific DeFi stablecoins and this, that, and the other. But in theory, you need to comply with the system. And the system is saying it needs to be Genius Act compliant. It has to fit the resolution. So a lot of stablecoins won't qualify for this. But for XRP and Ripple, this is worth watching closely. Ripple's own stablecoin, RLUSD, is issued on both XRPL and Ethereum, and it's designed to meet exactly these kinds of regulatory standards. As the US hardens the rules around which stablecoins count for institutional use, any network or asset that integrates well with Genius compliant payment stablecoins gets structural advantage. And here is when it gets interesting. Ripple has been positioning for RLUSD and XRP as complementary pieces of the same liquidity infrastructure. If RLUSD qualifies under this framework, it means XRP's liquidity rails could be sitting right next to the collateral that institutions are now cleared to use in derivative markets. I'll read that sentence again because that's the most important one. If RLUSD qualifies under this framework, and I'm pretty much certain it does, what it means for XRP, it means XRP's liquidity rails, which is, remember, how they work hand in hand with RLUSD and XRP. It means XRP's liquidity rails could be sitting right next to the collateral that institutions are now cleared to use in derivative markets. So essentially, it gives more utility for XRP if RLUSD is going to start being implemented. So this is not a guarantee of anything, but this kind of regulatory alignment, this is the kind of regulatory alignment that turns theoretical utility into real world plumbing. Very bullish story there. We're continuing to see why Ripple went regulation first. Other companies always want to create a product, make it sound all great, and then regulation comes and the real world comes into place and their token means nothing. Ripple did it the other way around. It continues to go after regulatory licenses, doing the hard work first. So when the frameworks come in place, it's positioned best. And that's what I love about Ripple, the company, and the tokens it uses. We are going to be covering the XRP Global Community Day, all about XRP. Join us; that will be live on this channel. So there's going to be a lot of interest in this event. There's going to be major players at this event as well. I'll give you a link to the video that I talked to you all about this and getting prepared for it. We've also got someone who posted this. Is it really different this time? Someone posted the Fear and Greed Index at 12. Then Brad Garlinghouse replied saying, my favorite Warren Buffett quote: be fearful when others are greedy, be greedy when others are fearful. And you can see that the CEO of Ripple, during a market-wide crash that wiped over 410 billion from crypto in a month, publicly saying he sees opportunity, not panic. These crashes happen a few times a year in crypto. They feel like the end of the world every single time, and every single time the people who bought extreme fear ended up better off than the people who sold it. That is all he's saying. Take from that what you will, but I think the signal is clear, and it was great to have Brad Garlinghouse come out and say that. So anyway, there is more in the newsletter. Remember, this newsletter, you get the full weekly calendar as well. What's happening with the Japan snap elections, what time the Fed governor is speaking, the earnings we get, what time, and what to expect from the XRP Community Day. We've got the full timings, all you need to know. So always reflect back to that XRP weekly. What you can do is actually go onto the website, which is sensei.news. At the top, you will see the XRP weekly. You can click on that, and then you can always see the most up-to-date XRP weekly. You can see the morning forecast, what we send out every single day, and you can also see the portfolio challenge up there as well, or you can go to the homepage. But what I'm going to leave you with is the XRP community video up there. I'm going to leave you with the ETF video up here as well. The newsletter link down there. You can get a free trial of 25% off. First link in the description. Choose which one you want. Or there is also a completely free version as well. Go check it out. I hope you join me for the XRP Community Day. But until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Okay, let's go to the live chat. Martyn will be live in about 8 minutes' time, so we all look forward to seeing what what trades Martyn's been doing, because I think he's officially turned off turned off pattern day trading. Or anyway, it allows them to trade hundreds of times a day now, so this will get very exciting. Let's see what update Martyn gives us on that. I'm going to check where we were with the emails. Not getting email. Yeah, I remember reading that. Thank you. That's all I need to know. No worries. It's time with the people. William Meyer says, good morning, everyone. Mikey says, do you ever think any more progress will happen on Clarity Act tomorrow in the meeting? I think progress will be made. I just don't. I've said for a while now that Clarity Act is very much being pushed back towards spring. And I think we got confirmation of that from Senator Loomis as well. Human being Liz says, thank you, Sensei. David, I say before you too. Thank you for the information. No worry, Ganja. Good morning. Yes. Let's see if we've got time to cover a little bit about Japan as well. I think we do. And then Martyn will have a countdown, so I'm sure we can go a couple minutes extra if we want to cover the Japan story. So there we go. This is today's morning forecast newsletter as well. Top stories being Bitcoin tests critical 70,000 support. We've got the silver plunge. Is this today? No, this is February the 5th. I knew I was reading the wrong one. Let me refresh it. Here we go. China looking to sell US treasuries. We've got the 44 billion Bitcoin glitch, which was an awful glitch. Go read about that story in the newsletter. That's slightly funny, but slightly distressing. Him and hers down, Samsung leading, but yeah, Japan is the main story here. Oh, a lot of good mornings. Everyone's woken up late today. It must have been the Super Bowl last night. That's why we've got a quiet show this morning. It's because everyone is a bit hungover from last night's Super Bowl. I imagine anyway. Let's do this. Uh, Bear with me. Japan carry trade. Okay, let's do a video on this as well. Breaking news on Martyn Lucas investor. We're looking at Japan again and the carry trade and the prime minister elections. What does it all mean? Well, I'm going to tell you all the information you need to know live on this show. Remember, we're live every single morning and we are making a video for this. That was a terrible start to a video. I don't even know what I was saying. That's been a while since I've had to do a retake. Let me do that again. Let's try that again. I was trying to read the comments at the same time as doing it. I'll read them after. Breaking news on Martyn Lucas investor. We've got news coming out of Japan with the new prime minister or the re-elected prime minister, how that affects the Japan carry trade and how that links back to crypto, stock market, XRP, Bitcoin, and the wider carry trade. So let me give you that update. We'll be covering it live on the show. So let's go straight to it. It's directly from our very own newsletter. First link in the description if you want to get these deep dives. We produce them every day based off whatever is the most important macro story. And today is the Takaki trade and the 6 trillion repatriation threat. So here is the story. Let's get into it. Something structural is shifting in global markets, and at the epicenter is Tokyo. For over 2 decades, Japanese institutional investors, banks, life insurance, pension funds have served as a quiet but enormous engine of global liquidity, parking roughly 5 trillion in overseas assets as a rock bottom domestic yields forced capital abroad. The era is ending. A collision of record high Japanese government bonds yields, an aggressive fiscal agenda under Prime Minister Sane Takayaki, and unraveling economics of a yen carry trade is drawing the map of global capital flows. With 40-year Japanese bond yields recently surging past 4.2%, a level unseen since the bond's inception over 40 years ago, the incentive for Japan's capital to come home is its strongest in a generation. The question is no longer if repatriation accelerates, but how fast and whether the rest of the world can absorb the shock. So that sets the scene. Massive, massive stimulus checks in Japan. We've got the highest bond yields in Japan. Remember, Japan never had any yields. They would all, even the Japanese citizens or the Japanese markets, they wouldn't invest in Japan. They wouldn't get any yields from Japan. They would go abroad. They have trillions of dollars, over $1 trillion in US markets. But now it seems more appropriate for them to bring that money home. And if that money comes home, that's not great for the US. We've also got the fact that everyone was borrowing cheap money from Japan, and that's no longer too cheap. So we've got a massive situation that you think Japan is it's Japan's problem. It's not Japan's problem. It's the whole world's problem. And this is the breaking news coming out from yesterday. Well, last night, this morning, probably for most people. Takeyaki's landslide, a mandate for physical expansion. Yesterday's snap election, which would have been early morning for most of us in the UK or US or Europe. Yesterday's snap election removed the last guardrail. Prime Minister's Sante Takaichi's Liberal Democratic Party won 316 out of 465 seats in their lower house, the first time since World War II. That's a single party that has secured 2/3 of supermajority in Japan. The ruling coalition, including Japan's Innovation Party, took more than 340 seats, giving Takeyachi the ability to override the upper house and push through essentially any legislation she wants. So this is what's setting the scene. We've just got this election. We've just got the prime minister, the one that, remember, she wanted the snap election. That's how confident she was in herself. She called on the election. She won the election. She's got 316 out of 465 seats, meaning any legislation she wants, she can basically just push through because she's got the support there. And that is concerning. Why is it concerning? Well, it just allows a lot of stimulus to be thrown into the market, which could lead to inflation, which could lead to high interest rates, which could lead to Japan carry trade unwind. Let's continue with the story. This is only going to be a 15-minute video, so stay with me. We're already 5 minutes through. Please make sure you have hit the like button. Please make sure you have subscribed. I'll be replying to your comments in the comment section down below, so leave a comment as well and go check out the newsletter. We have got XRP Community Day coming up this week. We've got FOMC coming up next month. We've got all of these events that we'll be covering in the newsletter, plus the daily newsletter, all the portfolio challenge. I'm going to be posting my next buy on the £5,000 portfolio challenge in the newsletter. You've got one-on-one DM, you've got the private community, you've got everything we discuss with our private community as part of the newsletter. So check it out. First link in the description. The gamble of dissolving parliament just 3 months into a premiership paid off spectacularly. This was a very confident play. Imagine Keir Starmer going, Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the UK, going, yeah, let's run a general election because I'm so confident we'll get more seats. Well, everyone knows he would probably be out of power in a second. He doesn't have any confidence. This Prime Minister, 3 months in, even if Keir Starmer did it 3 months in, he probably certainly wouldn't win again. So we've got this Prime Minister of Japan dissolving the parliament, running a snap election. She won. It paid off. Incredible strength move from Japan's Prime Minister. Japan's first, and this is a female Prime Minister, by the way, so it takes a lot to do this. I don't think any male Prime Minister's done this. Japan's first female Prime Minister rode a wave of euphemism dubbed Sana Mania to the biggest single party victory in post-war Japan's history. Trump endorsed her on Truth Social, saying her strong, powerful, and wise, calling her strong, powerful, and wise. She now has the strongest personal mandate of any Japanese leader in the post-war era. For markets, the mandate is a double-edged sword. Takeyachi's flagship promised a 2-year suspension of the 8% food sales tax that would blow a hole in roughly $32 billion a year in government revenue, equivalent to Japan's entire annual education budget. She has ruled on issuing fresh debt, but remained vague on funding. And this is a country that's already carrying a debt to GDP ratio of 230%, the heaviest burden in the developed world. And that's what makes me nervous. We get nervous about the US debts. We get nervous about the UK debt. Obviously, the US debt is worse than the UK debt, at above GDP now. 120%, 130% of the GDP, but you're looking at Japan here, the worst in the modern world or in the developed world, at 230%. And all of these things she's promising, there's no way of funding it. It's just going to be more debt, more interest charges. And the higher the bonds go, remember this, if interest rates go higher and the bond yields go higher, then what you expect to see is that payment of that debt is going to get out of hand. But they're spending money as if there's no tomorrow. As Shinshichi Ikiwari of the Pick Tech Asset Management Japan puts it, she might have won the public's mandate, but not the markets yet. The end of the zero land and the Japanese bond yield shock. For decades, Japan was zero land, a place where bond yields and borrowing costs were effectively non-existent, essentially a 0% credit card. That regime broke definitively on January the 20th when the yields on 20, 30, 40-year Japanese bonds soared to the record highs in what dealers described as the most chaotic trading session in recent memory. The 40-year yield hit 4.24%, and the first time any Japanese sovereign maturity breached 4% since the bond 2007's debut. The 30-year surged past 3.9% and the 10-year climbed to 2.3%. Market participants compared the sell-off to the 2022 UK gilts crisis under Liz Truss. Three things are colliding at once. The Bank of Japan, after decades of near zero policy, raised its rates to 0.75% in December of 2025, a 3-decade high, with further hikes expected this year, April potentially. Japanese inflation has exceeded the Bank of Japan's 2% target for 4 consecutive years, and Takeyachi's physical expansion has markets pricing in a flood of new bond issuance that buyers simply aren't prepared to absorb, especially as the Bank of Japan reduces its own monthly bond purchases from 6 trillion down to 3 trillion. So they're issuing more and more bonds. Buyers are not there to buy the bonds. The government itself is reducing its bond purchases. So if no one's willing to buy bonds, then what automatically happens in a free market is bond yields go up to make it more attractive to people buy it. So essentially, no one wants to buy a bond. The bond is giving you 4% a year. You go, no, I don't want to buy it. Well, if no one's buying it, the bond essentially gives out a yield of 4.5%, and then the market decides when it's worth buying. But right now, no one wants to buy it, and they're not buying the bonds themselves. So essentially, we can get those yields going higher. That can bring all the money back to Japan. That can remove money from the United States. That can unfold a carry trade unwind as well if the interest rates are going up. So we've got a real problem occurring here. State Street's Mashiako Liu described the dynamics as a rival of the classic Takoyaki trade. Stronger Nikkei, weaker bonds, weaker yen, fueled by repricing of term and risk premium as markets digest more expansionary physical stance. So let's go back to that carry trade unwind and the 500 billion time bomb. Again, it's trillions if you look at it in terms of FX, it's billions if you hundreds of billions if you look at it in just terms of stocks. And there's many ways you can look at it, but what we do know, if it does unwind quickly, we are exposed to a 10, 20, 30% correction here, or in the US markets. That is the S&P 500. You can imagine what that means for individual stocks and crypto. So this is where the story goes global. For years, Japan's ultra-low rates were the foundation of one of the most profitable arbitrage strategies in modern finance, the yen carry trade. The mechanics were simple. Borrow cheaply in yen, convert to dollars, invest in high-yielding assets like US treasuries, tech stocks, or emerging market debt, and pocket the spread. The trade is estimated at roughly $500 billion, though broader estimates, including institutional flows, run far, far larger. The two assumptions underprinting that near zero Japanese rates and a reliably weak yen have now fractured. As the Bank of Japan and the Fed the Bank of Japan tightens, so the Bank of Japan is raising rates, the US Federal Reserve is cutting rates, the interest rate differential that made the carry trade profitable is compressing. So right now you've got 0% rates for Japan, 5% rates for the US. People were borrowing here, getting 5%. Now what's happening is we're getting closer to the fact there's just really no arbitrage left in it. And it's closing fast. If the yen strengthens materially, if we get the actual yen strengthened materially, the repatriation flows would mechanically push it higher. Carry trades holders face a devastating double hit, rising funding costs and currency losses. So it's not just as bad as there's no arbitrage and everyone's going to bring their money back. We've now got the situation where if the yen is strengthening and all the money is coming back to Japan from the Japanese people themselves because they can get yields better in Japan, we now have a double hit. We've got rising funding costs for the yen, and we've also got currency losses, which will make them capitulate and the carry trade unwind. We got a sort of snapshot back in August of 2024 when a modest Bank of Japan rate hike triggered a violent carry trade unwind that rippled across global equity and bond markets in a matter of days. The difference now is the structural conditions, higher Japanese rates, persistent inflation, massive physical expansion are far more entrenched. This isn't a 1 week scare, it's a regime change. We're going to end this video very shortly. So the last part is the hedging trap and the repatriation loop. Japanese life insurers, traditionally among the largest foreign buyers of US and European bonds, face a punishing environment. When US and Japanese short-term rates were both near zero, currency hedging through FX swaps was virtually free. As the rate spread widened, those costs became prohibitive. Hedged returns on US Treasuries have been persistently negative or near zero through the second half of 2025. Major issuers reportedly cut hedge ratios from roughly 60% to around 40% of foreign holdings between 2021 and 2024. Institutions running unhedged portfolios, including the $1.8 trillion government pension investment fund, are acutely sensitive to the yen appreciation. If the yen strengthens, as capital returns home, the yen-denominated value of their foreign assets drops, creating a feedback loop. Higher domestic yields lure capital back in. Investors sell assets to buy Japanese bonds. Yen strengthens on repatriation demand. The stronger yen erodes remaining foreign holdings, and more investors sell to prevent further losses. So the loop could be non-linear. Japanese entities held roughly 1.2 trillion in US Treasuries as of November 2025, making Japan the largest foreign holder of US government debt. The repatriation, which is all that money coming back to Japan, of even 5 to 10% will represent about 500 billion in net selling pressure on US Treasuries, European bonds, and emerging market equities simultaneously. US Treasury Scott Bessent has already acknowledged the contagion, telling Fox News from Davos that he had spoken with his Japanese counterpart and was confident they would begin saying the things that would calm the market down. The US Treasury own Borrowing Advisory Committee noted in the February the 3rd letter that sharp rise in Japanese bond yields in Japan has rippled through the global fixed income markets. The Fed reportedly even conducted a rate check, signaling a potential readiness to intervene if currency markets in the currency markets to support the yen. So that is a lot of information. I really encourage you guys to go and check out the newsletter first in the link in the description. Read that by yourself, answer the questions. You can even put that post into AI, tell it to break it down for you, ask it questions, but you need to understand this situation because this situation is going to be important for anyone's portfolio, whether you're in bonds, whether you're in the US, whether you're in the UK, whether you're investing in the stock market, the crypto market, because this is one of the most important situations in the global markets right now. And we're going to keep an eye on it all live on the channel. So thank you for watching this video. I'm going to leave 2 videos up above. There's something about an XRP community today we'll be covering live on the show. So I'll put that video up there and another video that you might enjoy. Please go check out the newsletter down here because there's lots of great information. You get all of that carry trade. There's a 25% discount or a 1 week free trial. There's even a free plan. Just go and check it out and sign up. But until next time, as always, take care of yourselves and each other. Okay, thank you everyone for tuning in. It is now, I think Martyn is going live any minute now. Let me click on the link. Let's see if Martyn is live. He'll be live in 1 minute's time. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Let me read these last comments that came through while I was making that video. I've answered all of those. Thank you, Sensei. Thank you for the information. No worries. How bad do you think it's going to get if back and Japan raises interest? We know Japan's going to raise interest rates, so that in itself is not going to really mean anything. Japan's going to raise interest rates. It's how much, how fast, and what the physical back looks like as well. So that's why it's a developing story that we need to keep an eye on. Just be prepared for a carry trade unwind because that isn't a near zero chance. It is approaching 30-40% chance of a not just a slow unwind, but quite a fast unwind, maybe 20, 30, 40%. So it's worth keeping that in the back of your mind and following the story. It's not just about is Japan going to raise rates. We know they're going to raise rates. It's how quickly, the guidance, the backdrop, the bonds, the currency markets. They have been banned and get a coffee, drinking coffee. Human being Liz, I didn't realize you said hi earlier. Been super busy. No worries. She's good for the economy of Japan, or maybe I'm wrong. It's just difficult to say because it's a very hard economy to govern. Bookies have it 15-1 for Starmer still being PM by Chris. Really? By Christmas of 2026. That's great. That's funny. Hyla G Investment says Sensei bringing facts. Thank you very much. DJ Haynes says Angela Rayner 9-4 fave to replace Starmer. Didn't she get kicked out for tax fraud or something? I don't even think she was still there. Ninja Cowboy says, "Good morning, Lucas fam." Tidy Big Dog says, "Hi everyone." Great. Good morning, Sensei. Once again, great show. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Sensei. Did Martin just get? I don't know what you mean. Oh, I have no idea. I will be tuning into the video. I don't know what's just happened. Okay. Martin will comment on that. Let's go straight to Martin now. If you do want the newsletter to make sure if anything goes wrong, you can still stay in contact with me and we can give you information. Go check out the newsletter. It is a free trial. There is a free plan as well. There is a link. If everyone can do that on their way into Martin's show, Martin's link is pinned to the top. If you stay exactly where you are, you'll go directly to Martin's show as well. Until next time, as always, take care of yourselves and each other. Bye-bye.